All right, turning now to some of the biggest entertainment stories that are popping up on your feed tonight. We are going to start with Taylor Swift, now entangled in the very public legal fight between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni over harassment and retaliation accusations in connection with the movie It Ends With Us. Yes, this is newly unsealed court documents, include text messages allegedly sent by Swift to Lively and vice versa, but you have ones where Swift allegedly refers to Justin Baldoni as the B word. And this is that lawsuit just continues to escalate. Then, Prince Harry, on the stand in a London courtroom, fought back tears during his final day of testimony against British tabloids, describing the toll that those articles have taken on him and his wife, Meghan Markle, calling it absolute misery. Also, by the way, I don't know if you know about this, Barron Trump at the center of a stunning testimony in a UK court. A witness testified that the president's son saved her life. We're going to talk about why. And finally, the Beckham family feud taking an even more uncomfortable turn. So there is a new report that says Brooklyn Beckham and his wife never want their wedding video to see the light of day. According to the sources, this concern centers on the allegedly inappropriate dance between Brooklyn and his mother, Victoria Beckham, which Brooklyn has described as deeply embarrassing and humiliating in a recent bombshell Instagram post. It's making all the waves. So here to dish on all the details of these stories, we got Caitlyn Becker, host of the New York Postcast podcast and senior correspondent for the New York Post. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks to have me here, Jesse, on your new show. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, Taylor Swift, talk to me about the relevance, the value. What do we learn of these text messages?
Well, the probative value, to use your lawyerly term for the court, who knows? But for entertainment purposes, for us, we're seeing a little bit of the, I guess for lack of the better word, cattiness between, Blair and Blake talking about Justin. As you said, she referred to him as the B word in the context of this bee knows something's coming and he's playing his sad little violin. They're going back and forth, calling him kind of a doofus. We get a little insight into how the two of them worked as besties to kind of convince him that the pages that Blake wanted in the movie It Ends With Us were better than what he had. So you're getting a little bit of this Mean Girls side of it. But I guess if it was my friend talking to me about somebody at work that was a jerk to me, we'd probably be mean too.
And just to be clear, the reason this matters is Taylor Swift has been trying to distance herself from this legal fight for quite a while, these accusations of harassment and retaliation.
She's in it now.
But there was talk about whether or not there was a falling out between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. You read those messages.
Yeah, there are hundreds of messages, by the way, hundreds and hundreds of messages. And there was an exchange where Blake basically asks Taylor, what's up? Things feel a little off. Things feel a little weird. And they get to it in a way that Taylor says, yeah, it's not a big deal, but it feels like you're talking to me as if you're sending me some sort of corporate email, as opposed to talking to me like I'm your friend. Everything is, well, we think this and we have that. Blake admitted it and said that she was a little scared about what was going on with the text. But I think we're seeing the beginning of what became a fractured end to their relationships once this all blew up, because they don't chat that much anymore.
I probably could do a whole hour on that saga, but I don't have that time. Let's talk about Barron Trump. I don't think a lot of people know about it. New York Post wrote this story.
New York Post is all over this story. We don't know a lot about Barron Trump. He is the sort of the quietest of the entire Trump family, but this story, he's a check in the good guy column for sure. He gets a FaceTime call from a friend of his in the UK. He's expecting, which is what we found out in a courtroom in testimony, he's expecting it to just be your pal calling you, hey, hello. But what he hears is a 15-second call of basically the ceiling and his friend getting beat up and screaming. So he immediately jumps into action.
By her boyfriend, right?
By her boyfriend at the time, who was allegedly jealous over her friendship with Barron. Well, he hears what's going on, makes sure someone can get a hold of the police in the UK. He's an ocean away here, and stresses to them about the importance of getting over there. He's so nice. He's so polite about it. The operator actually kind of calls him rude. I don't think he was. I think he was being really urgent there and made sure they got there before things escalated any worse. And his friend turned around and said that he basically saved her life.
You know what's so interesting about that? And it might have been another person, they would like promote that so much. We never even heard about that. It just shows.
A very just quiet person whose concern was about his friend.
All right, real quick, Brooklyn Beckham. I mean, this drama, what's the
I'm sure everyone has heard about what's going on here. As you said, the inappropriate dance. Well, there's apparently video of this. There is video of the alleged inappropriate dance. You have some people at the wedding who have come out and said he is right on, spot on. It was so inappropriate. His mom was basically nuzzling him and grinding on him. Everyone was uncomfortable. You've got some other people saying maybe not, but Pixar, it didn't happen. And the video's out there, Jesse, but Brooklyn and Nicola have it and they will not let it out. And they apparently ensured, sources told us at the Post, that people who had the video had to delete copies. There was a cell phone ban at the wedding, and people who shot the video and the videographers had to wipe everything and sign NDAs.
Oh my gosh.
We might never see it.
Real quick, Prince Harry, cried on the stand.
He was fighting back tears, basically saying that the British media really made his wife's life a living hell. This is a part of this ongoing lawsuit that he has about British tabloids. Full disclosure, I did work for who he was suing at the time, but I was on the U.S. side. But he really did kind of get a bit combative at one point on the stand as well, kind of defending himself and saying that his friends didn't leak it and that the UK tabloids stole his information.
Caitlyn Becker. What a roundup of entertainment
And a lot in the UK.
I know, a lot in the UK.
Very British for us today,
I'd love to have you
Jesse.
back. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Caitlyn Becker, everybody.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.